There are an infinite number of parallel versions of Earth that coexist with our version, and that we are actually constantly shifting from one reality to another, one version of Earth to another. And as we change our belief systems, we navigate through these different versions of Earth to experience something more and more and more like the vibration and the version of Earth that we prefer. And this goes in a positive and a negative direction. Those that choose to make negative choices will experience Earths that are more negatively reflective. Those that opt for positive choices will experience versions of Earth that are more positively oriented. Eventually, he said, the splitting prism will be such that we will not necessarily interact with anyone whose vibration is completely incompatible with ours. That people will disappear from that reality one way or another, and ultimately we will only be left with interacting with people that are at least to some degree on a similar wavelength that we are on. Right now, he has said, you can still see each other, you can still observe choices being made that are vibrationally incompatible with what you prefer, but this is to give you the option to choose ultimately what it is that you do prefer as a path, what it is you are going to explore. But eventually this splitting prism, like train tracks leaving a station, will get wider and wider and wider and farther apart, and it'll be more challenging to go from one train to another eventually. As Bashar has explained in his own civilization, in their evolution, they have become so used to the idea of a positive reality that it would actually be a struggle for them to choose something the opposite, that negative energy for them. It would actually be very challenging for them to do so because there's so much momentum in their collective society, which is telepathically bonded, for choosing a positive experience. So just as we have gotten used to the idea of negative experiences, in flipping our evolution and in progressing into the future, it may be that as we learn to choose more positive belief systems, we may also be imbued with this momentum, this inertia of being eventually incapable of going backwards, incapable of choosing negativity, incapable of buying into fear-based beliefs. And I think that will say a lot towards where humanity is evolving. Because the idea is that once you have a large collective that is really focused in a certain vibrational direction, then it's going to be much easier for everyone else to kind of join if they wish to. It still gives them the opportunity to choose. We still have the free will to do that. But it makes it easier, and that's why when we use things like Bashar's formula, when we apply it to our life, when we become a living example of the kind of positive choices that other people can make by seeing the joy that it gives to us, we are helping them broaden their ability to choose a different kind of reality. We cannot force them to choose it, and we shouldn't. It is none of our business what they choose to do with this information that Bashar delivers. He knows it's none of his business. He has to leave it up to everyone to have the free will to choose what works for them, because we don't know everyone else's path. We don't know what their soul has chosen to go through. Eventually, maybe someone 10 years down the road will remember, oh yeah, I remember he said this, or I remember seeing that person living a life of joy, and I wondered what it is that allows them to do that. And maybe they will connect to it then. But everyone has to remember that we are eternal, infinite spirits. There's no hurry. There's no rush. We have all the time in existence. So what we don't learn today, we will learn tomorrow or 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years from now, because we will always have challenges. We will always be learning. We will always be growing, because it never began, and so it will never, ever end.